Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the World Tactical Racing League Women's Empowerment Series finale. We are out on the Lutzer course in Innsbruck. This is going to be a very difficult course out here today for the ladies. Now, this is a heads up, everybody. This is our first time covering this series. And it got put on our radar after Tour de Boudica. Tour de Boudica, absolutely awesome series put on by Revo. That put women's racing definitely, it's been out there. Obviously, there's lots of support around it from Zwift, lots of support around it in the community, but it had so much momentum. They were like, where else is this going on out there? And we need to be broadcasting this kind of stuff more. And WTRL, obviously, big supporter of events right now, Dave, and I love what they've been doing here. And we have one of the most difficult races in front of us for these ladies to be taken on.
My heart goes out to the racers today, no doubt about it. Nathan, I just want to back up what you were saying. The biggest growth area as far as vibe goes is this women's racing right now on this platform. So good job, everybody. Let's keep that energy going. And a big thank you to Martin and Steven at WTRL, the World Tactical Racing League. Nathan, I can't believe 38K of this. It's going to be absolutely brutal. We're going to be seeing a lot of riders in the gutter today.
Yeah, you know, this course, Lutzer, you've got 2 laps of this. I believe the category climbing on here, I mean, the total, you're looking at starting about 4 kilometers in up into to the 10-kilometer mark, a total of 696 meters of climb, I believe it is, or so. I mean, it's some sort of craziness. It's verified tough over at Zwift Insider. Pretty amazing course from what we're looking at here. Real quickly, I do want to run through last week. We did have a few results, it looks like, coming in last week to give you an idea of who is showing up on the day here as well, and kind of what the competition is going to be looking at. So let's take a quick look at, sorry about that, everybody. We have a couple of fans in the background. Just don't want to be quiet, I guess. It's a little bit too exciting.
Yeah, good energy.
They got a lot of energy at that start behind there. But last week, this is the results in the A's for the WTRL categories out here. And it was going to be Shayna Paulus from 2020 taking things down, followed by Alice Lethbridge and Fiona Schrader. And then Caroline Humphreys was out there as well. And then in the B category last week, we saw Jasmine Welter, Harriet Gilson, and Kirsten Kolchinsky, followed by Leah Brewer, and then Rebecca Leinecker. Natalie Franco, actually, followed up by Jen Lupke, Lois Brewer, and then Claire Good and Amy Walls. Now, interesting. I wonder why Martin separated them out, because Natalia Franco, that's going to be a rider, I believe. So I wonder what's going on with the categories. So that is interesting. Maybe we'll leave these alone for a little bit.
Yeah, none of those riders are Bs. I mean, Claire Good,
not at all.
She's a monster. Yeah, so we'll figure that out.
Yeah, we'll figure out what's happening there. I just got these sent over, so maybe we'll have to. Hey, Martin, what's going on there? We'll have to. Of course, we throw it at Martin. We throw it at Martin. Right
I'll
away.
take it because I'm usually the one that's stumbling or misstepping. So you know what, Martin? Welcome to my world.
Welcome to my world. Welcome.
Well, we'll see, and then Martin will have some reason why this is the way it is.
I'll be getting a million messages in just a
It turns out it's always something that I don't know. You have to know what you don't know, Nathan. So 38K out here, bunch of categories. I see the guys are racing too, and more power to them, but we're going to completely focus on this women's race. It's going to be absolute dynamite out there today. So, Nathan, this really comes at you in 2 dramatic waves. One thing I've learned, and actually saw this with Wout van Aert at Strade Bianche this weekend, the downhill is such a place to attack now. It really is. The downhill is the new uphill. So yeah, it's really interesting how riders are figuring out the game out here. So Nathan, it's going to be a massive day of racing. I'm super, and I see Martin is chiming in right now. So here's our answers coming through.
He's checking it out. He's checking it out for us. Just so you know, everybody, you can comment over on the Facebook video feed as well as tweet at Z Community Live, or we are also watching the Twitch as well as the YouTube. So go ahead and comment Or if you do tweet at us, you can bring in multimedia. So if you do have any pictures, we do know Jamie Tracy's usually hanging out and throwing us a few of those photos of the live cams as well. So go ahead and throw those on our way if you do have them, and we'll go ahead and bring them on into the broadcast. Let's go ahead and jump right on into it, though, as we do have the ladies with 6 seconds to go. 2 laps of extreme climbing on the docket here for them today, and as they are taking off here, it looks like from the start
Giddy
line
up.
here. Yep.
All right.
On our way here. And,
I like seeing that. Nathan,
Go ahead.
as we hit out here, it's always cool to see how the first couple minutes of the race go here. Got a nice email from this team right here. That's the Colombian. She's raced for the national team for Colombia. Just won the virtual tour of Colombia. Always a rider to watch. Franco here of Team 2020, Natalia Franco. All right. Got a nice email from Nikki Cranmer. I'm sure you saw that as well. Just giving us, and I encourage all the directors to follow Nikki's lead on professionalism. And if you send us the info, it sure helps out in telling the stories. But little gaps opening up. Nathan, doesn't take long for us to get right down to it. And one of the more challenging courses that we race on out here.
Yeah, interesting to see. Immediately, we've got a few gaps opening up here, actually. And so let's go ahead and move our way forward here, as we already have 3 seconds here. If you let this
This
go
is
right
not
now,
good if you're at the back. I hate, yeah.
It's going to be a long day for anybody with the 2 climbs that are up ahead of us, because you want to at least hit the bottom of the climb with some wheels to follow. That's for sure.
No kidding. I mean, if you're already chasing your way into the group, this is going to be a nightmare of a day. And sometimes, Nathan, you realize the ladies here in this group, Fletcher and company, might as well press it here. Put the foot down on the accelerator. I think maybe that's going to be one of the 2020 riders going to the front, trying to control things a little bit steady as she goes. We don't have all the bags on board right now, Nathan. I'm going to guess there's 15 riders who've gone out the back of this group here. Let's see if they can recover. We're not even 1K in.
Yeah, not even 1K in, and already we've got a split going on. We're going to see if the chase starts coming on, and it does look like Franco here trying to make something happen. I think maybe out of the gate was not paying a huge amount of attention right up front here, trusting a little bit too much. We do have late here as well from the Chris Racing team, Elliott, and then it's going to be Lawson, Hughes, and Smith trying to chase things down, but the chase group here, the front group here with Leinecker now falling off, it looks like as well, but it's going to be Johan here from Sisu that's going to be at the back here, 31st place currently. I do believe that's going to be the top 31. That have made this group. So already splits very early before we even hit the climb. Lots of 2020 jerseys still in there, though. As you can see, it's going to be Team Fearless, as well as I am seeing Draft in there, and Revo well represented on the day. I'm also seeing this Race Like a Girl kit here in the pink, and there's a couple of them here. We'll have to see who's donning those kits out here today. I believe that's going to be actually the Sisus. Have they adopted that kit, I wonder?
Nathan, this field is really strong. We're going to have a fantastic race out here. I'm a big fan of Fiona Schroeder, the 20-year-old rider out of Germany. She's another, I would have to say, a powerhouse, no question. As you look at the teams out here now, really will be familiar with each other. I like Fearless as well, Nathan, as you were saying. I mean, Claire Good and company, they're always going to be in the mix. This is going to be interesting to see. I have a feeling a lot of riders will want to keep their powder dry, or as dry as they can here. Takashita is back, the Japanese rider, Nathan. This is the most diverse field that we've seen in a little while out here. I hope that this is something we can continue to cover. One rider that always catches my eye is going to be, as you said earlier, Christy Tracy. She and Jamie have got a good thing going. The Squire, Jamie, there does a tremendous job of she's racing out of Texas, where it's quite warm right now, Nathan. I'd imagine you got the AC cranked here. You can see Tracy right up near the front of the group. When the first attack goes, even money has Christy Tracy being involved. But again, team tactics, Nathan, have developed to the level that there's no difference between racing in real life out on the road or racing out here. My heart goes out to those riders that aren't on a strong team these days.
Yeah, I have to agree with that 100% on that, because the tactics most definitely do end up playing up, because riders will start throwing attacks off the front here and there, and that's going to be covered by teammates in order to bring things back. And as we do know, in the world of Zwift, drafting is one of the key components. A lot of people maybe tuning in that don't know how incredibly important it is to hold the wheels of the riders out here, and being able to, in races, a lot of riders who are familiar with the draft, familiar with how to use that tactic. They'll be producing, you can see it on zwiftpower.com. You head on over there. Riders will be winning with a full watt per kilogram less than some of the other riders. That means they've worked incredibly amount. I mean, that's like, I would say 75,
Smart.
80% less work put in for a race win out there than the rider who put out their, that whatever that representation is at 4 watts per kilogram, whatever it might be. So smart racing, it's not just all about the power on the turbo.
And Nathan, that gameplay goes on in real life as well. I mean, how many times the concept of the wheel sucker, right? The rider, the sprinter that just sits on and always believes and has faith that other people are going to chase back the breakaway. And more often than not, they're right. The same. Well, I wouldn't call it a wheel sucker out here, though. And I mean, it sort of sounds worse than it is when you use that term, because it's a tactic, right? It's a technique that you use. And who can blame the sprinter who's struggling to get over the climbs for doing exactly that? Out here, I mean, your point is really well made. The rider that's able to conserve their energy, help everyone else, as I've said before, right, Nathan? That old help everyone else finish what's on their plate before you start in on yours. And typically you start in on yours in the last 10 seconds, as far as that all out sprint to the line where it's just full tilt boogie, reckless abandon at that point. I mean, because we've seen so many times, as you mentioned too, the power of the draft, the power of the peloton. It's strong. There's no doubt about it. Here we go, picking up Christy Tracy. There she is in real life. Always appreciate these coming in from Jamie and Nathan. You've done a good job of showing folks how they can do the same.
Yeah, go ahead at Z Community Live. You can see it there right in the tweet. He also tweeted at Sars the Pros Closet. Great to see that as well. Their sponsor, newly picked up elite rider for Sars the Pros Closet is going to be Christy Tracy here. So thanks a lot for the image. That's what it looks like for this avatar right now. And she's in what I'm calling the astronaut's cave. She's got more tech there than I do during my rides, I think. I mean, and that's saying something here.
Yeah, when she powers up that room, it dims the power grid in Austin. Right, they have to channel some more hydropower.
6.8 watts per kilogram here. Nelson trying to follow here, as you can see, but Christy Tracy giving a little bit of go. Here's the chase here coming from C. Nelson here, coming out of 2020 right now. Kolchinski's trying to chase Takashita. These are the first kicks at the bottom, but we are just getting into this climb that's going to take these ladies about 20 minutes to complete. So this is just the start of your first FTP test, really, on the day.
Courtney Nelson is the rider that we're looking at. She grew up in Connecticut, a D1 soccer player. Man, they have been a tremendous. Nathan, if you look at in real life pro women riders, soccer is the number one sport, I would say, or running and soccer will be the number one sports that they participated in through their collegiate years. There's some tennis. I mean, there's a good mix. I'm not knocking any sport, but soccer and part of it is there's a lot of scholarships, right? Almost every school had a D1 team, and that's going to be 20 scholarships, something like that. Well, Courtney Nelson comes from that world, so it's no surprise to see she's talented out here. Last week, she scored the Mont Ventoux KOM. So strong rider, but Christy Tracy making her mark early. Here we go, Nathan. Didn't take long to get right down to brass tacks out here.
No, and I think early on is the smart way to go here, actually. Trying to you don't want to bring anybody up over the top. You don't even want anybody with you once they do flatten out a little bit, because there are a couple of towns in the middle of this climb, and during those sections, it does flatten out to about 1% to 2%. Very shortly, but even that little bit does give some reprieve, and any rider that maybe doesn't have extreme consistency might be able to gather themselves. If they're on the back foot a little bit, use that moment to grab some energy and hang on to a wheel and then go over the top with you. So if they're not having a good day up front, breaking them early might be the smart move.
Completely agree. You know, we saw Lauren Stevens chase back with a strong group at the Tour de France virtual and win the stage ultimately. But Nathan, today is going to be decidedly different. They're going to make a selection here. It's not the ultimate selection, but there's no doubt Takashita, rider to watch. I'm going to guess that most, if not all, of the 2020 team is going to make what is ultimately the front group. This is not a race-winning move from Christy Tracy. I mean, it might ultimately play into that for her, and she, moving the pieces around on the chessboard right now. But look at this ride from 2020. They are in fuego here, Nathan, as we start picking up the riders here. They're going to make this group here And as you said, expect what, a couple riders maybe to chase back in. We'll see what the gaps look like as they come into the first little villa here.
Yeah, and Polly Mason here making her way back. This is really interesting situation because it is essentially 3v3 now at this point. Plus Kolchinsky in the middle of it all here at this point.
Strong
there
rider
with
too.
Where Kolchinsky, very strong rider out of the US of A here, but it is going to be Sarsa Pro's Closet with an attack off the front. Then Takashita there, covering moves from 2020 to cover it as well. Polly Mason just hanging on the back here, making sure she stays involved. And then it's going to be 2020 here with Paulus, Lubke, Jen Lubke, and Courtney Nelson. So it's 3v3 on the course with Kolchinsky in the midst of it, as well as Gilson from the TTT here, it looks like here. H. Gilson just hanging on to the back. And then going back a little ways, it will be Wagner from Cryogen as well as Timwell from Revo. So this is the chase group over the top. They may be able to bring some time back if they have enough bodies, but I think the front group does have enough riders there to maybe put a dent into any kind of time that Christy Tracy puts over the top here. Nelson trying to go across, it looks like those 6 watts per kilogram. So maybe 2 riders up front. If this does break the group behind enough, then it won't be enough bodies to bring it back on the descent. It's all about how many bodies you have on the descent, how many of those avatars can just create enough speed, create enough of a essentially snowballing speed through that draft mechanism.
Yeah, I mean, Courtney Nelson is making massive watts right now. I mean, sitting in the mid fives, up over 6-7 watts right now. So this is a huge ride. So I'm going to have to say we'll pay a lot more attention when I see that name, C. Nelson. That's Courtney Nelson, who's going to be lining up. Christy Tracy, this is really interesting, Nathan. How are her teammates? Are any of? Let's look back here as they right now. Yeah. So the name of the game here is obviously sit on the chase from 2020,
well,
right?
Takashita, look, I mean, Takashita's falling off, though, and the chase from 2020 here is breaking things apart. Polly Mason, the only one able to hang on at this point. It looks like they're allowing Courtney Nelson just to go across if she can. And at that point, will they chase any longer? But Courtney needs to make it across. Otherwise, it's all for naught.
Remembering, we have 38K of this. It's an absolute Donnybrook right now. Nathan, I'm having to throttle back right now. I was going to crack open a Red Bull. I'm not going to have it because I have a feeling that this is going to be a long race. But look how dynamic it is here. Is this normal? I mean, or is this just some great racing that we're seeing? Because nobody sat back and allowed the race just to happen to them. The woman of the hour, certainly, or I should say the woman of the first 6.2K would have to be Christy Tracy. But now you're starting to see the riders that survive that real brutal attack here, like Courtney Nelson, who very well, Christy Tracy might have some company here in just a few more minutes.
Yeah, 12 seconds up, though. That's a big chase to be making. A lot of ask here for Courtney Nelson here to make this come across. But Paulus and Jen Lubke here, maybe dialing it back would be, it's only 8 seconds. Maybe it's going to fade just a little bit here. And if she goes over the top with 30 seconds, the reality of 3 chasers all working together on a downhill like that may be able to make something happen. We do have some fans tuning in here. Heather Hill Foster coming in saying, go get them. 2020 Pro Cycling and Fuego bringing it out of the Dave. I love it. I love bringing in Dave's classics here as the chatter comes on through. Let us know who your favorites are out here, everybody. Let us know who you're looking to have win out here today in the chat.
Heather's a longtime 2020 supporter from Boise, Idaho, a great person who's living the life up there for sure. This team, their service course is, and their virtual service course. Chloe has moved, Chloe Diger, I'm talking about, the multi-time world champion, the 10-time world champion, has moved to Boise. Kristen Armstrong has just started Pivot, a business there. She's a friend of Zwift, without any doubt. And the whole team is working out of there, but we're going to pick up the Vanguard right now. Nathan, if you were to go back and analyze the last 4 or 5 months of us working together, I would think that Christy Tracy would be one of the names that we've talked about the very most.
If you ran an algorithm through the internet,
right,
and you tried picking up the word
she'd be
Christy
way up
Tracy, you would definitely be hearing that plenty in the audio files.
Charlotte
of Google.
Charlotte Backus would probably be the other.
Lots of aggression. And the reason why is she makes the races a lot of times because of this kind of aggression. She continually pushes the pace, throws her cards on the table early on. She doesn't wait. And, she is what we call a pocket rockets from the get-go over and over again. She draws the aces because she makes the aces.
Yeah, I mean, a good example might be Jens Vogt from the men's side of things. Like, why do they talk about Jens so much? It's like, well, he's constantly in the breakaway. He's always animating. How do you not talk about him? He makes it impossible. Christy Tracy is the same way. This is the kind of rider where Saris, the pros closet, Saris makes these great trainers. They're out of your home state, Nathan, as you well know, Wisconsin. And then the pros closet who sell reconditioned, not always used, just they sell a ton of bike stuff of across the board, bikes, wheels, tools, you name it. They've got it. And they do a great job out of Boulder, Colorado. So they have this team. They started with the men. They added the women about a month ago. And that women's team is stacked with talent. But it's a little bit different than 2020, which is an in real life. This has been one of, you go back to about 2008, the Pro-Man team that Nikki Cranmer started. That team became very quickly 2012, then 2016, using the Olympic movement, and they have supplied a lot of American, and not just American, Canadian, Mexican, Colombian riders on this team. There've been the Irish national champion Olivia Dillon rode for the squad, but Nathan, along the way, Taylor Wiles, who's on Trek Segafredo, rode for 2020. Flanders winner Corinne Rivera rode for this team. This team finds talented riders and gives them opportunity. And they work with junior riders as well. They have a really strong stable of riders. All of the elite riders, mentor, education is really big to this squad. So all of that being said, you got to pedal the bike. And Courtney is doing that right now. We're going to go back and pick up Takashita here. She's another one of the Saris Plows closet riders we were hoping would be benefiting, Nathan, from the work that Christy Tracy was doing on the front. But she's struggling to get up into the chase group right now. Come on there. This is going to be, again, we got a long way to go.
We got a long way to go, and it's right there. Takashita at 4.7 watts per kilogram. She's been kind of just dangling on the wheels, and then it goes up a little bit off the wheels here, back and forth, back and forth. Courtney Nelson, though, as we did see, here's that chase group as we were talking about just a moment ago here with Poltinski and the other 2020 riders here. But Nelson, she did get it within 8 seconds, but then as soon as it sped up on this flatter sections, Christy Tracy was able to bring it back out to 25. We'll see if it comes back in as she hits this 10% uphill gradient and Nelson pulls some speed in. But see, Christy Tracy has a lot of experience here on the platform as well. Nelson does as well, but Christy maybe knowing that she needs to just hold some speed on those flatter sections and then punch the moment that you see those orange gradients, that 8%, 9%, 10%. That's exactly what she did, and I think that's what her tactic is here, is to punch these sections as hard as she can when it goes very steep uphill, and then keep it steady through those little bit lesser gradients, and I think that is gaining her some time here over Courtney Nelson. Nelson maybe going to have to rely on the chase group here, but this is really going out to almost 30 seconds. Tracy here, she's on fire on this climb here.
Nathan, any other rider, and I would say this is a fool's errand, but not Christy Tracy. She knows. I mean, think about the capacity for racing that she has. I mean, there's many days that you'll hear about her doing 3 races in one day. So, I mean, give this one. I don't want to put you on the spot, Nathan, but there's a chance that she wins this bike race outright today, isn't there? This is not a no-hoper move right now. Or am I too hopeful? Talk to me.
I think there's a pretty good chance of it out here, but
it's a big ask.
Group,
I mean, this is a huge ask.
And the reality is that downhill, they're going to be hitting probably 5 to 10 kilometers per hour faster on the downhill because of the amount of riders. That second chase group here is going to have a lot of speed if they stay together here. And it's almost to the advantage of 2020 to attack this group actually at this point. I mean, it is going to...
Really? You don't want these riders with you just for the first through the downhill I'm with you 100%, Nathan. My thought is this, actually. The advantage right now is to this group here. Let's call it the Paulus group. That's Shayna Paulus there. I'm thinking that they like where they're at right now. Now, remember, they've got Courtney Nelson. If I'm Courtney, I actually would do what you said and sit up a little bit, let this group join me so I could work with them. So let's talk about that. Do you think that this group has the advantage?
Yeah, I think they do have the advantage at this point. I think they can bring back a minute, on the descent. Now, I mean, the reality is that Paulus and the others, they're not going to be doing any work to bring back Nelson, I would think. But there is a reality that the downhill just has so much speed, and Also, how many
Yeah.
matches are being burned by Christy Tracy here is off the front now?
Well,
at this
she's
point?
a blowtorch. She's no longer a match, right? I mean, like she opened up the valve and has just been going full gas. Now, that's why I'm saying any other rider and I say they blow up. There's no chance. But Christy Tracy, I have a lot of respect for. I still think is I still think that Dan Fleeman is the director for 2020, one of the most experienced. He's just got a great mind for this kind of racing, and he's the British Holden Camus, I would say. And I have a feeling that he has these ladies exactly where he wants things. Christy Tracy's just throwing reckless abandon out there, and it's fun to watch, right? So this is that question. A really good rider goes out as hard as she can. Will she hold on? It's as exciting as it gets in this sport.
And then we have Polly Mason in here, who what's interesting to me
She's
is that
the
I
real
think Polly
benefit
Mason is the climber, actually, in comparison. I mean, Christy Tracy, the reality is her fitness, I think, is through the roof right now. But I wonder if it is a setup move, because I think Polly Mason's the one who's following wheels here at this point and has the climbing legs comparatively to Christy Tracy usually. But maybe Tracy is just riding out of her skin at this point, and she's just having a ride of her life. And I would not be surprised with the kind of fitness she'd be bringing off of the last 2 months of Zwift racing 2 to 3 times a day. I mean, she's obviously got huge fitness right now, benefits coming from that.
It's a win-win situation. Remember in Star Wars when Han Solo was like, that's not a moon? I have a feeling that we've got a kind of similar situation here. That's not your real problem. Oddly enough, Polly Mason, teammate of Christy Tracy, who's sitting on the chase. This is a masterwork. This is a clash of the titans, Nathan, is what we're looking at. So for folks who don't know their bike racing or learning about bike racing, this is the perfect, as President Obama would have said, this is a teaching moment here, because what you're seeing is one team playing a tactic. They've got a very strong rider. Now, again, it's entirely possible. Sometimes things go haywire. The 2020 team doesn't chase hard enough, and Christy Tracy actually wins this bike race. But I think a more likely scenario is she's putting the pressure on 2020 and the other teams to chase her back. Her teammate, who you have noted, Polly Nelson, really strong climber. I mean, she should be ready for a throwdown. Nathan, she's sitting, like you talked about 10 minutes ago, about those numbers, keeping your watts per kilo as low as you can, doing as little work as possible, so that when it comes down to the finale, you've got something to give.
Exactly. And now we do see Mason's doing exactly that, just following the wheels, exactly as you're saying, making sure she's well placed. The moment the Paulus went to the front there, Lubke went to the front as well. She noticed it and immediately covered the moves.
She'll never lead the chase. She'll never lead this chase. Right, she'll just sit on.
Exactly, and we do see Takashita now, 19 seconds back. So obviously the pace is raised. She has backed off to it looks like about 3.3 or so watts per kilogram. It does look like they're good from Team Fearless. Revo as well. They're on the chase a little bit here, but this is all the way back to 10th place at this point. This is going to be the main chase group, I would call it. Or the third chase group out on course here. I don't think they're going to be bringing back a whole lot of time except for the Takashita. So that will be one place they can take back. They'll be fighting for that top 8. To bring back Takashi, but I don't think they'll be seeing the front end of this race with Kolchinsky, Nelson. Kolchinsky, though, the solo rider here, no teammates to help her out here today, and she's going on the attack here to maybe bring back Nelson, but I believe Tracy about to come over the top. There it is. We'll get to see what kind of a time here. She's already going to start gaining some time, but here's the thing. Being solo like this on this course, she's not going to be allowed to let up as much as the other riders. She's going to have to really keep the hammer down in order to try and hold on to this gap.
No respite here. She right now is in a different Austrian postal code than the chase group. I mean, she's at 11.1K, Nathan, and I think that Kuczynski, let's see, this is going to be Courtney Nelson, who's right now, let's, I guess, reset everything. It's been a pretty crazy first 10K here. Again, 38K of racing. It's pretty rare that we go over an hour in duration, Nathan. This is going to be really La Doyenne, the grandmother of a race, is a really, really long one out here. Whew, we're just getting going, Nathan.
Yeah, it's only a long race out here today. 23 minutes in, and already one FTP test essentially down as they come on over the top here. And I mean, Christy Tracy just set a 17:43 over the top. I think she went all in on that one here. And resting on the downhill, it's going to be 18:56 now. It looks like. I mean, she put a full minute 15 into the chase.
I think that the 2020 ladies didn't really take the bait as much as maybe, they said, okay, you go be your bad self, Christy Tracy. We know that we'll see you at some point on the second climb. I think right now you got to trust in the process, right? I think a good way to put it is let the game play. Think about that concept for a moment, right? You, instead of constantly trying to control every element of the bike race, at some point you give some leash, you let this run out. I think at about 1 minute out, Nathan, that was when 2020 said, all right, we need to, kind of limit it there. We'll lock it down at about 1 minute.
Yeah, and I think at that point they started to really start to focus in just a little bit. And now we're going to go ahead and jump in with a couple of our chatters here, though. DM giving a big shout out to our dinos. That's going to be Stacy Murphy here out on course, it looks like. So big out shout out to the WTRL ladies, currently sitting in 17th place out on course. A little bit of a solo ride currently coming from her as she looks to chase, or at least get away from Bissett there from the team Revo. Also a shout out to Saunders. It looks like a teammate. I believe that's going to be from also WTRL. So love all the shout outs here. Keep them coming, everybody. We will most definitely be looking for the teams and all the ladies out on course to give some encouragement as we finish out 2 laps.
DM's a super strong racer herself. She was up on the podium in our Bees race at the USA Cycling Series. You'll hear more from her for sure. I love riders supporting riders. That's what it's all about, no doubt. So, okay, well, here we go. Speaking of the World Tactical Racing League, the ladies team here, this is Murphy that we're picking up.
Looks like chasing down Denman as well as Wagner. She's actually just off the back of that third chase group we were talking about that contains good. There's look like a little bit of attack here coming from the Revo ladies here with a time well. That was riding for the Wonder Women on Thursdays, it looks like. Coming out of Canada, 161 as she comes up onto the top. We'll see what the times are on the leaderboard here for their Queen of the Mountain. That's the top 9 for time well at 21:13, and just behind her will be 21:15s across the board with third chase group out on course. Let's go ahead and jump back in with the chase, though, here. That's going to be Courtney Nelson. Look at this gap. Look at this time gap. This is out of control. Christy Tracy.
I think it's
is
the
just
largest I've
away.
seen. Yeah, I think, Nathan, in my time doing this would be the most impressive solo break that I've ever seen. I mean, as far as the high water mark here, this is pretty incredible what we're witnessing. I mean, Christy's now hit 15K in. This is the beauty of racing, is that you never know. You never know how motivated she is, what is going on. But this is command performance from Christy Tracy out here. Win, lose, or draw, she's making a huge impact on the race. It looks like Russell chiming in. Good to hear from you, Russell. Great to see a solo breakaway. I couldn't agree more, Nathan. Is this the biggest gap that you've seen in a while? Have I missed something?
It's one of the bigger gaps. I did see Jay Vine make an attack up this specific course, actually. Similarly,
let's race here more.
He had a couple of minutes just like this with a couple of other riders, though. So, he brought 2 or 3 with him and then attacked again over the top, I believe it was, going into the finish line. So, I think...
Not to crap on your point, but solo versus 2 or 3 riders is a pretty big difference.
It is
you know what I'm saying?
Huge difference. So, yeah, but this course specifically does lend to these kinds of attacks because it's, a 20-minute effort or so, 15 to 20-minute effort, it really does separate the wheat from the chaff. It is your FTP, essentially. So what can you hold? And that is what we a lot of times measure a rider's ability by. So I'm not surprised that it does break things up like this.
Yeah, so now the story becomes, how do you manage the race if you're 2020? I mean, I know what you do if you're Sarah's the Pros Closet and you're Polly Mason. You just sit on here as she is doing.
What happened with Lukey? Lukey went backwards now as well.
So how far was Jen out of Bend, Oregon, Jen Lubke here, and she is this...
With Takashita. She fell back with Takashita, so I wonder up over the top there. Interesting, yeah. You see Nelson kicking into 8 watts per kilogram for a moment. They're trying to get her speed as high as possible. Interesting enough.
so much racing here, Nathan. We're going to see riders going. Well, this is long enough that every rider is going to go through a bad stretch out here, a minute or two where you really start to feel the heavy legs, breathing, laboring, and you just have to fight through that. That's bike racing. It's in a 6-hour stage race. You're going to have that happen a few times to you, where you just have to learn how to work through the bad parts. And I think that maybe Jen Lubke having a bad moment out there, maybe a dropout as well, because she's a super strong rider. Uh, I've talked about her quite a bit as well. Cascade Cycling Classic. She dominated that event, winning every stage last year. And that's no mean feat. That's a legit national level race there in Oregon.
Now we just go straight back up on the looks. I mean, this course, for some reason, I thought we were heading back downtown into Innsbruck, but it's not happening. Essentially, you get done climbing, and then it's do it again. And they did they did do a full 17 minutes. Now the question is, what kind of matches were burned on that climb though from Christy Tracy, and will Courtney Nelson have the power to pull this back in? It's going to be a full minute 21. That's a lot of time to bring back. Now look behind here as well. If we do see only a 28-second gap, and this is speaking to how fast a group goes comparatively, already back down to 145 as you can see here. So this group was flying on the downhill, lots of super tucks, lots of using each other's draft and pulling right on through with some slingshots. 28 seconds, Kolchinsky making her way to the front. Paulus maybe sitting in. I think Paulus and Polly Mason, maybe the two that have kind of been biding their time and waiting for a late attack, perhaps. Christy Tracy, only 135. She's within striking distance on a climb like this if somebody's got some matches left to burn.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, the dynamic in this chase group here. Shane is certainly going to be looking for a little bit of help. Not going to get it from Polly, that's for sure, as we're going to have ourselves an interesting second half of this race, and we're coming up on that point pretty quickly. For that matter, this would have made a great race, just as what we've seen up till now in its entirety. But we really have just set the table for you. The story of the day, without any doubt, is Christy Tracy. And Jamie, who would know better than anyone, remembering that what Christy Tracy, before she even went for the Zwift Academy a few years ago, before the broken hip, before everything, ultra was her thing. And many rides over 100 miles in that Texas heat under her belt already. So if there's a rider, Nathan, who's cut out for this, and that again benefits Polly Mason, doesn't it? Because the teams that are chasing had better keep chasing, because this lady does not give up. You're looking at true grit right here.
Yeah, 100%. That she is fully committed at this point, and it is 104 at this point, 4.9 watts per kilogram right now. But we do see the chase coming on from Courtney Nelson here now at 5.0. She's trying to match, and that's one of the benefits there, of this. Now we are Kevin Michael Winterfield saying, wait, what? Going back up, that is hellish pain. And this is absolutely true. We're seeing MoCat coming on in as well, saying, killer course, go WTRL ladies, go Shayna and Courtney. Coming in from Chris Brown as well, team 2020. And we got a little bit more. Oh, the pain. This is the real pain coming in from this avatar right now. Go ahead and look at this. This is Jamie Tracy. I don't see her iconic smile. Pain level high. It's most likely 11 out of 10 right now, trying to hold on to this gap. It's a 1 minute gap. When you're in that much pain, though, 1 minute feels like 2 seconds. That's the reality of it.
And they always tell you, well, remember how much pain they're going to be in chasing you, right? That might help buffer it just a little bit. The woman on your screen right now might be the worst woman in the world to say, no, you can't do it to. When you talk about Christy Tracy, we're going to go back now and pick up the chase. Look at this. It's a ragged group of 4 riders here. Well, again, let me apologize. That's the first chase. Courtney Nelson, the solo chaser here.
Right there, right in the distance there. They're within striking distance. It's only 10 seconds now at this point, and it's only 59 seconds up to Christy Tracy here. So they're about a quarter of the way up. So still 3/4 of a climb to go here. And even after that, there's still some distance to manage. So we're going to see how this ends up playing out here, because there's still plenty of landscape to work with here. Christy Tracy has really thrown her chips on the table. She went all in. A lot of energy is going to be expended. And will it end up paying off because there's a chase group coming on fast?
So as you look at how things are breaking down right now, let me just set the table for you. Christy Tracy is our leader. Courtney Nelson, the rider that we're looking at right now, is chasing solo. Then behind her, it's a 4-rider group. You've got the United Kingdom, Harriet Gilson, Kristen Kulczynski, Polly Mason, and Shayna Powless. That's the group that Nathan is just jumping to there right now. So Gilson, a rider we haven't talked about much, she's having a tremendous ride out here today, Nathan. She's keeping her head above water for sure, and she's been doing a lot of work in this group here as well up to this point. So she's certainly been pitching in. Kristen Kulczynski, we both mentioned, is always going to be a rider to watch. So, okay, that kind of lays down. I should mention the other riders as Jen Lubke is still chasing with Takashita. You've got Yvonne Timewell, Alexandra Hayden, Amy Walls, and Claire Good. They're in the next group back. So they're still not completely out of it here.
No, they're not. You know, that next group back here actually is about to pick up Takashita and Lubke, I believe, actually. And Temwell here now, I think they've bided their time, actually, with Wagner Good. These are some top names as well. So, you know, some of these riders, they might have a little bit more of a kick, too, and especially without expending too much energy. If this all ends up coming back together with a larger group on the downhill, it could be pretty interesting here. So we'll have to wait and see how this ends up playing out amongst these riders, because it's still the good, you know, the gaps are not huge at this point, but Christy Tracy continues to open up a little bit, actually. 136, so it doesn't look like she's done at all. Again, still holding right into that 4.9 to 5.3 watts per kilogram. This is a monstrous effort here. Shayna Paul is trying to hold things together as Kulczynski looks to go across to Courtney Nelson, actually, from Team 2020. So she may be getting a little bit of company. If Kulczynski come across, Paul is trying to cover. Doesn't look like it's going to happen as Kulczynski begins right away.
Well, that's impressive by Kulczynski that she doesn't wait with this group with so much racing ahead of us. She really believes in herself, and I like that. I really do. So we are locked and loaded, folks, coming through the middle part of this race. And again, just so much climbing. Look at that. We've already done 547 meters of climbing. That's quite a bit, and we're not even really halfway home. Well, we are halfway home at this point. So here we go. So now you start to see things just blowing to bits. Nathan, I wonder how large of a group do we see at the finish line? Will there be a group of more than 4 riders together? I highly doubt it. There is no gruppetto today. There is no peloton. It is every woman for herself. We got an OSS going on. Only the strong survive today in Austria. This was the world's course going back a couple of years ago. The most challenging world's course I'd say that we've seen in the last decade, Nathan.
Yeah, it is extremely challenging world's course. Lots and lots of climbing, obviously, as we're seeing here right now. So making it very, very much an opportunity, though, for the stronger riders to say, okay, I'm going to really stick it to you here and see whether or not you can hold the wheel. You know, a lot of times there is a criticism that it does come once in a while. Oh, it's always just a sprint to the line. It's always just, well, that's kind of bike racing sometimes as well, though.
Absolutely.
You know, trying to get away. I don't know if you noticed in stage races or how it ends up working. Oh, there was actually a break that survived. That's like when the commentators are surprised when that happens. But this course providing a lot of opportunity, because this course really makes the race in some respects, at least makes the opportunity for you to throw down that kind of power and see what you got up against the other riders. It does look like Nelson here. Tracy's still off the front, but Nelson now just being caught by Kulczynski, and they open up a 15-second gap now. Nelson got this gap over that group on the last climb right around this section. Now it looks like Kulczynski using the same section the second time over to close the gap down to Nelson, and now this is going to be the official chase group here. 2 riders trying to bring Tracy back, and that's going to give them an advantage, actually. They're not going to have any love lost with Christy Tracy. Sarah's Clothes Closet, they've got no riders in this group, and so it looks like now Nelson, if she can hold on, has a little bit of a company to bring back that 122, actually, that is up to Christy Tracy.
A little bit of a psychological slugfest here as Kulczynski isn't even willing to say, hey, get on my wheel. She's going to go do it on her own. Again, this is the champion's mindset that we're seeing here. So, again, they're all chasing Christy Tracy. It was Courtney Nelson, our solo chaser there for a while, but let's go ahead and reset things again here in Innsbruck as Kristen Kulczynski here. She has certain, so For Trek is the team that she rides for. Now I think Courtney Nelson is going to just double down here and get up onto that wheel. I'm going to expect her teammate Shayna Paulus back in what was no, she's not. It looks like Kolchinski's going to soldier on alone. So she's our first chaser. Now Courtney Nelson leading chase 2, and then a small group behind these ladies here. This one has blown to bits.
Yeah, looking behind here, actually, it looks like Paulus trying to hold on to Polly Mason. Mason, it looked like for a moment there was given a little bit of a go-ahead to try and chase down the move there from Kolchinski, but now backing off a little bit.
Now, why not?
Why not? Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're Mason now, you're not chasing your teammate back. You're riding for your own shot on the podium here. So I think, Nathan, if she could, she would, to be honest. Right? There was no reason. So what you're doing in this, if we're talking bike racing 101, you're not trying to stay in that group. You're going to sit on whoever the fastest chaser is if you can.
And so
easier
it does
said
look
than
like
done.
Does look like Paulus here now, 4.3 watts per kilogram now, making her way to the front, trying to maybe put a little bit of hurt in. Nelson has completely fallen off at this point here, it looks like, from Kolchinski. So Kolchinski going on a solo ride here at this point to try and bring back Christy Tracy, or at least just break the group and go for that second place overall as Christy Tracy continues to walk away from the rest of this crowd. So Nelson here fallen off, it looks like, and unable to hang on to the second attack. Looks like Kolchinski was the patient rider amongst that group. A little bit too patient, perhaps, if she's expected to try and get in for the win, as Christy Tracy, halfway up the hill now at this point at 5.5, continues on.
You know, Nathan, Zwift Community Live and racing on this platform, a very welcoming community. Can you imagine the poor woman that did her FTP test, found out that she was at the very cusp of B's to A's, and decided, you know what, today I'm going to jump in with this A race. I'm going to give it a go. Because you just showed up at an absolute Donnybrook. I mean, there are riders who cannot believe this Christy Tracy woman. We know, we've seen it before, but nothing quite like this. We're 22K in for your Vanguard right now, racing out of Austin, Texas. Again, she certainly has earned it here. Christy Tracy coming back from a fractured hip. We haven't told that story in a while, have we, Nathan? I think you kind of forget. Again, her recovery has been so rapid that you forget that a year ago it was touch and go whether Christy Tracy would ever be racing again. Well, she's not only racing again, she is putting people into the hurt locker in a major way out here today. Win, lose, or draw, I'm not going to forget this one. This is the kind of ride that stays with you. Saris, the Pros Closet, is the team for the Texas-based rider. Christy doesn't shy away from, she was hoping to get into the Colorado. I think she did. She'd lined up a ride for the Colorado Classic. A lot of women guest ride at that event, Nathan. That was going to be a big one for her. So many people resetting their dreams for 2020, making the best out of the situation. Certainly, Christy Tracy was not new to racing on Zwift. She actually, in 2017, made a run at Kate does such a great job running the Zwift Academy, which is a program that selects one rider out of thousands that go through an elimination process to end up with a pro tour ride on Canyon Zwift. Our friend Leah Thorwaldson has done that. She was the first ever winner. Christy made it into that final group, got really, really close. But one of the nice things was she wasn't faking it. She has a real passion for e-racing. So if she wins, it's going to be super cool to see. She has a lot of fans.
Yeah, and it's a pretty amazing ride here, as you were saying. I mean, really putting a name for herself out there through this. And that, as you were saying, the talent identification, this is, a name that's absolutely been put on the radar here because of her participation on the platform through this past spring and into the summer here. Pretty amazing to see. Really exciting to see also what this sets up for going into the fall and winter. This empowerment series is pretty amazing. And I think there's the reality of, how do we say, the esports teams that were racing throughout this past winter, and then into the spring and into the summer, this whole new blood, all this new blood came in, all these new riders popped onto the scene now, and new teams were formed. A lot of drafting went down. And now we have the reality of teams like we're looking at here right now, 2020. They've been invested for quite a while here, and they're racing against a whole bunch of their in real life pro teams, as well as a bunch of riders that have been drafted onto esports teams. And there's kind of this mixture happening, and all of a sudden we're going to have this influx again going into the fall and the winter. And this is an amazing setup that we're seeing here. You know, the finale of this series, looking forward to what are going to be a lot of all-stars and a lot of identification of new talent and teams that are going to be putting their names on the map here into this next Zwift season.
Yeah, to dovetail into that, Nathan, riders who are live streaming themselves, event organizers are going to have a tremendous opportunity. We still are waiting to broadcast, or I'm still waiting to broadcast our first event in France, a new world that just opened up. We've got Tokyo 2021 to look forward to. There's never been a more exciting time, to be honest. Well, it's going to be like this for a while. Zwift is a rocket ship taking off. It is fun to be on board. So Jack Paulus has 2 kids he could be incredibly proud of. As Nielsen, his son, is right now, speaking of Tokyo 2021, hoping to be racing in the Olympics, part of the Education First team. And I believe he's going to be starting his first World Tour race in the restart of racing here in just a couple days at the Tour of Poland. But you're not going to find a prouder dad than Jack. And Shayna, his daughter here, as you picked up, Nathan, still working hard. Podium hunter extraordinaire. Shayna living in Jackson. Her husband plays in her partner plays in the NFL.
Yeah, I believe for Jacksonville, if I'm not incorrect.
But, yeah, he's bounced around. He went to USC. They went to USC together. And so he's back in Jacksonville, but I think he played for Cincinnati maybe for a season as well. But Eli is his name.
Yeah, you're gonna have to answer that one, because I only commentate on cycling so far, and know everything when it comes to the MTB scene. But Kolchinski here now, 4.1, as Nelson tries to make the chase. Nelson clawing her way back. Actually, I thought this was gonna be further out, but Nelson, look at this, getting a second win. And sometimes that's what you got to do. If you can't hold the wheel, you regroup. And you find that extra, and you get some energy in the legs, maybe a gel, a little bit of water.
That was the bad patch.
And then you get this extra motivation, and we'll see. Maybe we're going to start seeing some of that in real life endurance coming on through here. Because a lot of times these Zwift races, they're about 45 minutes or so. And traditional Zwift racers, they're going to be more adept to winning at that 45 to an hour. But we're going to be going over that here, and we're going to see maybe some of this endurance that's coming from the road in real life coming through to maybe bring back some of this time and get a couple of places back.
100%. And Christy Tracy mentally, not just physically, benefiting from the fact that she lives in the pain cave. She's got a cot set up there. She takes naps in the pain cave. That's how comfortable she is. And then we're going back and picking up our leader right now. I love it. That was the bad patch, Nathan, that I was talking about. Guess who just fought through it? Courtney Nelson. That's a sign of a real pro, not giving up out there. So, okay, here we go. Another chance here where the weak of mind and the weak of body lose their ability to continue pressing on. That somehow, Nathan, I think psychologically a lot of riders, when they hit the top of the climb, they let off the gas. Not a real racer. You got to continue to keep the pressure up. Good job, Christy Tracy here.
Keeping the same time, obviously, the last time through. So 17:43, that'll stay the fastest on the day for the Queen of the Mountain, as it was the fastest time. First time over the top. Looks like, obviously, not quite as much power coming on through the second time on through. Now, some of the riders are lapped riders out on course, just so everybody knows. So there are, as you can see, if we go back to Rodriguez can be in 52nd place, not in second place behind Christy Tracy here. Smith there as well as 53rd, chasing her down. And then Colgan there sitting in 54th place. Kolchinski is going to be in second place on the road. So those are going to be lapped riders. We're probably going to pick up quite a few lapped riders as we head our third time over the top here. 3 times mountaintop finish from what I'm being told, I believe. Let me double check here, though. I'm looking at Zwift Power, and usually we have a map for these courses here, but it ends at the top of the second climb. Interesting enough.
We have a map. but it's not the right map.
Well, the map, it just ends at 24 kilometers for us.
Right,
so
yeah.
so we're kind of like, well, it looks like the 38. Well, guess where we're going.
Yeah.
Christy Tracy's going to have to guess, is she going left? Is she going straight? I think it's going to be a 3x20 out here today, but we'll have to wait and see.
I think in high school math, they would have told you, just extrapolate it. You'll be fine. It's like, well, all right. It's going to be absolutely. Now, we're moving into that phase, too. We're off the map. Off the hook is Christy Tracy. Courtney Nelson, a rider who we spent a lot of time with. She's been chasing in second. Now, this is the woman
Mason
who's
made a
sitting
move. Mason made a
second
move
on the road.
Here it is.
Okay.
Here's Mason now, and it's just completely blown apart. Everything's just shattered at this point.
Literally,
this is such a hard course.
There's no group left, Nathan. I don't know that you're going to find more than two riders together. And is two riders considered a group? I don't know.
Chase, I don't think it's a group. It's just a chase at this point. I mean, Shayna Paulus here, and Gilson's just trying to hold on. Takashida's alone now at this point as well. I mean, this is completely blown apart. Lubke said enough is enough. I don't want to do this anymore at 1.8 watts per kilogram. Now, this is such a difficult day.
Well,
Collins here just hanging on to Team Draft.
That was probably a rider that just went up, got off the bike, went over and got a tin of maple syrup and just poured it down her throat.
You're probably right.
You're like, look, I'm not going to. I am out of gas. I'm out of sugar. I don't know. Well, here is a group. Nathan, the Ultimate Pro finds maybe the only group.
We found the group. We found. Oh my gosh! Can we even find a group on this course here?
And they're splitting. The group is splitting.
Cryojet on the front. Baltz here, it looks like, found up by Good from Team Fearless, and then it's going to be Walls. Actually, we've got a little bit of a team tactic even here still. In 15th and 14th place here, coming from Walls and Good. Both from Team Fearless. Draft there, putting a little bit of attack. And the red jerseys, you can see, holding down for a solid Collins. It's going to be, I believe she's right around 14th place or so, trying to chase down Hayden. It's going to be solo. This is going to be a tough go here for Hayden, be with that chase group behind. That's going to be the only group on the course getting a whole lot of benefit on the downhill, actually, within the top 20. They're going to be flying compared to a lot of the other women out here. So these women have given a go to try and break away. They're going to have to really put their heads down in order to hold on to this advantage they've gained up against the riders that are chasing.
So our friend Martin at WTRL is saying that the women specifically requested en masse. It was the choir chimed in saying they wanted a really hard course. So they served it up. Now we're taking a look at the front, the Tête
I wonder
de
if
la
there's
course.
regret. I wonder if there's any
I would
regret
think so.
going on right now. Like, wait, whose idea was this? Oh my goodness! But no, I don't think so. They love to suffer it, and you know the ladies, they do really an amazing job putting these races together, and you know they love to be aggressive. You know, off the bike, you know, a lot of times it's all nice and cordial and everything. They get out here. They are absolutely
here for
dynamite.
business, man.
They are.
Yeah,
they just put it out on the road. Christy Tracy showing us exactly that. Kolchinsky with the chase here. Look at how it's shattered. They're not messing around. They're not worried about their egos. They're just throwing it all down out there.
I've never seen a race play out quite like this one. Again, this conversation has been going on. This attack came about, I'm going to say, 8 minutes into the race, Nathan. So we're looking at about 45 minutes of a solo effort here from this absolute monster, Christy Tracy. Now, Christy Tracy, I'm not going to say routinely, but has regularly raced her bike over 500 miles. I mean, it's amazing when you talk about the capacity that she has. So she's just warming up right now, which if you're the chase, that is going to come. Well, also we got to remember that Kolchinsky here has been phenomenal today. If you make the top 10 in this race, you're a hitter, no doubt about it. If you get up on the podium, you're going to have a whole new level of respect. There's our man Martin chiming in from Canada. And Martin, I could not agree more.
Yeah, Kevin coming in with a little bit of a joke. So tomorrow, 5 times up Van Tup, and I mean the new Ventoux course. Yeah, I mean it's essentially the same thing. Why wouldn't we, right? And so Danielle as well coming on in with "Go ladies, go fearless." This is brutal, and it is good to see you there, Danielle, kissing her king. Thanks a lot for tuning in to the broadcast and bringing the chat. So now, as you can see, Tracy still 4.8 watts per kilogram, about to start her last climb. 3 times up and over the top of Lutzer, and Kolchinsky trying to make that chase happen. And she is still, it looks like, I believe, about 2 minutes back. Nelson, though, get into that super tuck here. 1 minute behind here at this point. She was the rider that did try and go across to Tracy on the first climb, was able to do so. And Kolchinsky, the patient rider, able to get a little bit of a gap on the second time over the top. Polly Mason now solo into her super tuck. As you can see, 63 kilometers per hour coming from her. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 out on course. Paulus making the chase with Gilson. It looks like here for 5th and 6th place. Takashita 3 minutes back. I don't think that's coming back at this point. So that is going to be your top 5 and 6 riders. And that's the situation for the top 6 out on course.
They're going to start running out of real estate pretty quickly here. And remembering that the odds that we see Christy Tracy blow up pretty low. Now, she's not going to be able to put the kind of numbers up on the board that she's been showing us, I wouldn't think, so far. I can't imagine that we haven't seen her go as deep as you possibly could. But she's going to be able to regulate this effort here, Nathan. This is a woman who knows what she's doing. We're not looking at a flash in the pan out here. So I'm starting to think, to be honest, I would have given this a 1 in 100 chance when she attacked. I thought this was all about setting Polly Mason up. At this point, we're all in for the win here. She pushed her cards into the middle of the table. Win, lose, or draw, this is going to go down as absolute courage here. This is why we do it, Christy Tracy. I commend you. Tip my cap to you, honestly, because this is how I was joking earlier, Nathan. If these ladies wanted to go do a group ride, they'd go do a group ride. They came to race their bikes, and it turned into an absolute throwdown here as we pick up Shayna Paulus once again.
Shayna Paulus, now Polly Mason there, 72. As you can see here, kilometers per hour here. So they're bringing some time back. They're getting into super tucks now, and they're really punching it in the flatter sections here to bring that speed as high as they possibly. Look at Gilson up into 6 watts per kilogram immediately to jump back on the wheel there of Paulus. It is very tactical on these downhills to keep that speed as high as you possibly can. 82, 86 kilometers per hour here at this point at the sharpest downhill section. So they brought it back to 28 seconds on the chase for Polly Mason, who's also the other Cyrus the Pro's Closet rider there. She is currently sitting in 4th place out on course. Nelson making the chase, and we do have Kolchinsky still on the chase as well, but it's a full 2:27 at this point as we pick up Polly Mason in 4th. Here's 1st place out on course. All she's got to do is hold on at this point. But the chase here for 3rd, Nelson with Kolchinsky, only 30 seconds up. The 2020 rider could pull 2nd place because this is the chase right here. She starts her final time over the KOM, Queen of the Mountain here now. Kolchinsky, 29 seconds up.
Wow, this is a command of performance. So Courtney Nelson, this is the real bike race, if you ask me. Kolchinsky and Nelson here. The times are kind of jumping around a little bit. We got riders all over Innsbruck right now, but we're picking up one of the riders who's really stood out here today. We talked about her at the beginning of the webcast. This former D1 soccer player out of Connecticut, really starting to make her mark in the sport of pro road racing. I'm excited to see what she's going to do here as we not only in esports but in real life. But I think the reality that for the most part it's going to be esports here for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and I'm getting a little inside scoop here from Jamie Tracy actually saying the plan, like I said earlier, I thought this was what it was. And, you know, that early attack, not something that usually plays out. And it sounds like the plan was to launch Polly Mason. Inside scoop.
And sometimes
and now it succeeded because Polly could just sit in and it ended up playing out where now Polly can grab a podium maybe if she can pull back Courtney Nelson next.
Yeah, we kind of talked about, we didn't call it at the time, but that TSS number, which is basically keeping your workload down as much as possible. These are lapped riders. I mean, who would have thought we'd be lapping riders on the course out here today? It just shows you how unbelievably fast it has been at the front out here. But Polly Mason, Nathan, she's in a good position to do some damage here on this final climb. Can you imagine if she's able to ride up into 2nd place?
I think she might. I think Polly's been waiting. I think she has been waiting here. 4.5, 4.7, but Nelson is watching. You can see here, look, Nelson there, 5.6, and Nelson is watching Polly's numbers there. But Polly here, she might just have more consistency as Nelson threw down a lot of matches early on, chasing down Christy Tracy. She got within about 20 seconds, I think she was actually even within 8 seconds at one point. And it goes to show how incredibly important it is to close it down when you can. Now, she is going to be able to match, though. Look how she follows every single watt there, holding on to 20 seconds. It's, it's definitely doable here, but I think Mason, she's got a lot of consistency still.
Is where communications can really help, being on a team like 2020 that is absolutely dialed. They know the importance of keeping your riders informed. I honestly say one of the takeaways from today's race for sure is the heart that we saw from Courtney Nelson. After Kristen Kolchinski caught her, I expected it was going to be goodbye to Courtney Nelson. Very rarely do you see riders fight back from something like that, but clearly, as she fought through that bad patch, she came on strong. Here she is now. Let's reset for you here as Nelson is looking at about 6K to go. 38K was the advertised distance out here. Christy Tracy, your leader. Courtney Nelson, who we've got on screen. Well, excuse me, Tracy on screen now, your leader. Nelson chasing. Then Polly Mason coming on strong, the rider out of the United Kingdom. So we're going to see. I would have to say we've seen some impressive wins. Laura Matson Co. comes to mind, but I haven't seen anyone do what Christy Tracy is doing here. A master class today, Nathan.
Yeah, and we just saw the head down there from Christy Tracy from the in real life photo there, and all in at this point. With 225, though, it's just steady, but this is a rider who doesn't go steady. She's going to put everything on the line, I think, here, regardless of what kind of time gap she's got, and make sure, I can relate a little bit. You just want that time gap to be as big as it possibly can be at this point to just prove your point to yourself of what kind of effort you got. But now, and also there's reality that you do have this chaser coming here, Nelson, trying to make something happen. But, Polly Mason now, 17 seconds, continues to close things down, it looks like here. So it looks like Courtney's got a race on her hands. And this is the race for second place and third, with Paulus only 12 seconds back, actually, here. So this is getting really interesting here. We could have a race for fifth through second still if Paulus does chase this down, with Gilson sitting in on her wheel just a little ways behind as she continues on at 4.5 watts per kilogram. Mason 14 seconds out.
Yeah, so Zwift power is obviously where you want to be as we're watching. Again, second and third are really in play right now for the women. So Nelson and Mason, I love this battle. Boy, they're going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel as we get into that final couple of K. Gilson having a great ride out here today as well. Again, she's got a rider right in front of her. That's going to be Shayna Paulus that she's looking to hunt down.
Yeah, we do have now Christy Tracy, 5.5, as you can see. Move our way back here real quickly. First place now, as you can see, out on course. Then it's going to be lapped riders are out here, just so everybody knows. So make sure you're looking at the top right or the right below the mini map here. So here's the mini map, as you can see, where riders are out on course. But when we look at that mini map, then right below there, first out of 63 in the E category. If I go back to Butterfield here, good to see her out on course here, and she is currently holding down, I believe, going to be out in the maybe top 50 or so, top 40 or so. But then Courtney Nelson here, as you can see, right next to second out of 63. This is going to be Polly Mason, only 11 seconds back at this point, continues to just tick away little by little, meter by meter, and that brings back second by second. This was already all the way out to like 20 or 30 seconds, actually, at the bottom of this climb. They're only halfway up, so she's brought back about 15 seconds, actually. Same with Paulus and Gilson, about the same kind of time gap that's been brought back. Now Paulus on the attack as they hit that 9-10% gradient here. Perfect time to put the attack on. Gilson falling off the wheel. Takashita behind there, as you can see, 52 seconds. That's not coming back, but 1 second now as Paulus goes on the attack.
Nothing will bring more out of a racer with the champion's heart than chasing another rider that suddenly becomes visible to them. And right now, if you're Polly Mason, you're at that point where you can see the prey that you're hunting. That's going to be really fun to watch. And Shayna Paulus has the same situation. However, she's the hunted here. As let's run through our current top 10 out on course for you now is just about, I think every woman is on her own here in this epic battle in Innsbruck, Austria. Christy Tracy, our leader, Courtney Nelson chasing behind her. That gap's not going to come down unless there's an act of God out here today. It looks like Christy Tracy is in incredibly good shape as she's coming up on 35K in. So she's got 3K left of this sufferfest going on right now. So it's Nelson, then Polly Mason, who's chasing hard in third. Shayna Paulus is sitting in fourth out on course, and then Harriet Gilson, who's having a breakthrough ride out here today. I'd have to say both Nelson and Gilson are really going to be happy with the performance they've put together out here. Nathan, as they've shown that they can go to the highest level.
Yeah, for sure. As you do see Gilson still trying to hold on to Paulus. She just scrapes her way back onto the wheel there. That's a great effort there coming from Gilson here.
Look at that.
That was very, look, right down to 2.4. She's at 180 beats per minute, though. So really tried to pull that back and did everything she could. Paulus.
She's listening to the commentary.
Exactly. Great little comment coming on in from Dan Connolly. Connolly here giving a shout out to Team 2020. It says, Courtney Nelson put 17 minutes on me in Van Top race on Saturday. She was A's, I was B's. Good to see you there. And isn't that one of the great things is that one thing that's definitely different about the riding out on Zwift and racing out on Zwift is that we ride with these individuals almost on a daily basis. I mean, we can jump in and, so-and-so's riding, jump on in, and next thing you know, you're just sitting next to a pro, matching times with them out on course. Always one of the great things about this is it's one huge community that interacts in this virtual world. One of the coolest, definitely one of the coolest things. And thanks a lot. I appreciate the comment coming in there, Dan Connolly. As Courtney Nelson holding down here, still in third place, I believe it is. Second place, excuse me, trying to hold off Polly Mason, who's only 8 seconds back, though, at this point.
When we were doing the Colorado Classic ride last week, Nathan, I got a shout out from Barry Bonds during the ride, the home run king. I was just like, this, it's amazing.
He put a ride together recently, a charity ride together with Hassan Bahati, I believe. They put together a pretty cool little charity ride actually out on Zwift. So it really brings a lot of people actually together around the entire world. It makes you really realize what a small world it is and that how cycling really connects so many people.
Well, heck yeah. And let me just go ahead and do exactly that for you then, because Barry Bonds has been a significant financial contributor to women's bike racing. He's done it quietly. He's supported events and teams like 2020. And I'm not talking about a couple $100 here and there, right? I'm talking about real checks that he's written to support women who are racing bikes. So credit where credit is due. Really appreciate people who get behind this sport. And we need more of them, that's for sure, because there's so much positive that comes out of cycling at every single level. No doubt about it. So I'll get off my soapbox and throw it back to you, Nathan, as Christy Tracy's putting on a clinic out here today. This is brutal. I mean, in so many ways. Christy Tracy, I, again, thought this was an attack to set up her teammate. This was an attack that shocked the world.
Yeah, Christy Tracy went from the first go, and it was all about setting up Polly Mason, but it ended up being enough to hold on to the gap here at this point. She's still got some climbing to go, though. It's not over just as of yet. Look at this, 1,120 meters right now at 106.37 at this point. And so this has been one of the hardest races I've ever seen out on Zwift. And this was put together. I saw a great comment actually coming in from Steve Milligan.
Steven.
Yeah, from WTRL. He said, before the feedback is sent to WTRL, he says, now they organize the event side of things when it comes to all the data and collecting the registration. But he let it know, just be very clear, Martin and Steve did not pick this course. Send the complaints to the WTRL Ladies, which is their own organization, actually, that has been put together and launched over this past spring, which is pretty cool to see how they have come together and really done a lot in the same, in the way that Martin and Steve have kind of kicked something off. Same spirits, same kind of connectivity, same responsiveness to the community that we've seen from WTRL originally. It's going right on into the ladies side of things, and that is what this empowerment has been all about. And we see Christy Tracy here on the front of it really leading the charge now. With that, but all the complaints need to go over to the WTRL Ladies as they come in, and I think it's going to be a mixed bag, because it's going to be like, wow, what an accomplishment! What, man, did that hurt? Can we maybe back off for a week or two?
Well, Christy Tracy, Nathan, has always been pretty transparent, I would say, and I would be incredibly curious to see when you get to her level. she's probably a level 50 Zwifter. You don't set new FTPs very often. I'm wondering, does she possibly set one out here today? Jamie, I'm sure, can help with this. And also, I mean, like, this probably was a full kilojoule that it took for her to, the amount of fuel that she had to burn through. I mean, to do what she did, you would need to fuel up eating a burrito the size of a rugby ball. That's a lot of fuel.
Burritos the size of a rugby ball. We're just making them up every week here out on Zwift Community Live, guys. I mean, this is going to be, I mean, next thing you know, Chipotle is going to be like, you know, that was a good one, Dave. That's a good, we got the Dave burrito. They are the size of rugby balls out here. So you do see Mason here trying to pull things back together. It doesn't look like it's going to be happening as Nelson seems to find a second wind at 5.1 watts per kilogram. We'll see if she can hold on to that. So her heart rate goes out to 176. This is the battle for second place out on course here. Paula's trying to pull things out back to for fourth place. Looks like she's going to be able to do it. She did drop off Gilson. That's how things are developing here for fourth place out on course. Fifth place there, Gilson, it looks like steady, but 3.9. She's been broken a little bit here by Paula's attack, and Takashita from TPC trying to bring things back together here. Still plenty of climbing. Half a climb to go with only 29 seconds. She may be able to do just that. Wagner's been very patient. She was in that main chase group all the way back to almost 20th place at one point. She has chased down Timewell, Hayden, Baltz, dropped them all, and is looking to bring back Takashita even. She might be able to climb her way into a fifth place, actually, if she continues on with that patience. She has rode a lot of wheels, and this is kind of your classic GC contender moment here for Wagner, at least, with that ride of following wheels, using the downhills, not overextending, and then kicking it at that 4.5 plus here, it looks like, all the way through to the finish line.
I was just thinking the same thing, Nathan, that the riders that didn't pay the price, and when it goes bad, it goes really bad on a 10% grade.
Yeah, 100%,
that's just demoralizing, 100%. Isn't it?
Now, this is an interesting question. Where's Kolchinsky? What happened to Kolchinsky?
Like a mushroom cloud somewhere out there over.
Was it a dropout, or I wonder, is she still on course?
That's a good point.
This is a good good question. Where is Kolchinsky?
Huh. Sounds like a movie coming out on Netflix. Where is Kolchinsky?
Where is Kolchinsky? Thanks, Dave. Liking that. Where is Kolchinsky? Kolchinsky's currently sitting in 43rd place.
So she must have had a power dropout.
Place at this point.
I shouldn't joke around.
4.5 watts per kilogram average still. So, yeah, I'm assuming there was a dropout or something along those lines, because that is not like the athlete here from what I can see. As I'm seeing her 31.5 in total. So I have a feeling there was some sort of a dropout or had to walk away from the bike for some reason at certain points. So Kolchinsky, she was sitting in second place, but ends up not able to hold on to that spot here. Now we're going back to Wagner here. This is the chase here, trying to bring back Takashita and a few others. Not sure it's going to be happening, but this is going to be our winner here out on the day. Easily walking away with this one. It was an early attack, looking to set up her teammate, Polly Mason. That didn't end up happening. She sees it's within 200 meters all the way to the line here. 300 meters, to the line. 4% grade, up and out of the saddle. I love this effort here. No hands in the air, 6.1 watts per kilogram. We're just going to sprint it out regardless.
Meet the Queen of Innsbruck, currently residing in Austin, Texas. Christy Tracy, you are my hero. I will not forget the day that we watched this solo break. And Nathan, the harder the course, the more likely that the strongest woman will be able to do what we saw. That's how you break their will. Christy Tracy, champion today. Nice job here at our empowerment. That empowered me to want to get out on Zwift and ride. Great job, Christy.
Amazing effort there coming from Christy Tracy. I'm going to go ahead and move our way back here to Courtney Nelson, who is looking to try and hold on to this second place out on course today. Is it going to happen, though? It's going to be the question here, as we do have Polly Mason trying to make the chase. They have about, I'm going to say, a little over a K and a half to go here at this point, and that's plenty of time here. 1,500 meters, Polly Mason can make it happen, but she's got to kind of start sprinting it up a little bit here. She's got to raise the bar, but no, 5.6 coming from Courtney, and Courtney looks to have a little bit of extra energy. Nelson's got something left in the tank.
Yeah, all heart here. Courtney Nelson has impressed me today, Nathan. Again, as has Polly Mason. So these two certainly, it's not over, is it? Well, that's going to be a lapped rider that we're looking at, isn't it?
Yeah, Green. Bringing
Yeah,
back Green
right.
there.
There we
That's
go.
lap rider, 23.1
Scared
kilometers in.
myself. Yeah.
So there's still another lap to go there for Green, but she's hammering away as Nelson from 2020 comes on through. She's going to have one more little bit of a punch into the orange numbers there, 6-7% gradient now. But Mason 21 seconds back there, 4.5. It looks like Paulus trying to chase that down still. She is sitting, it looks like, in fourth steadily, and she's going to ride to the line. It shows you how hard of a course it was out here today, though. I mean, the reality of this course is undeniable here at this point. There's no groups, everything's completely shattered, and everybody's just
says it
putting
all.
out. I mean, what do you got? What do you got? That's what you got to bring to the table. It reminds me of mountain bike racing. There's never a pack. I mean, if there's a pack,
Agreed.
there wasn't enough single track or climbing, essentially. So it's just who's the strongest.
Absolutely. It's interesting. I mean, I guess there's a reason we don't do this every week. It's too hard. You know, again, there's going to be races that want to be able to sit in groups, and there's no group to sit in on it. I mean, we watched this race blow up in the first kilometer of racing. And I mean, an hour 15, this is longer than any of the stages. We had some long stages at maybe Joe Martin or Gila. Well, this one takes the cake out here. Courtney Nelson, great job. She's going to hold on about a little more than half a K. Actually, when you're riding on a 3% grade, you don't round up, do you? Or don't round down, I should say. So she'll be coming up on half a K here in just a moment. It's pretty true to that 38 total distance. So she should be able to just settle into a nice rhythm here and take a silver medal at the line. Solid work today for Courtney Nelson of 2020.
Yeah, great job to her. Polly Mason trying to chase things down. Going to be able to hold on steady, though. Paulus trying to bring it back, though, as it's 33 seconds. But evenly matched there, it looks like, between Nelson and Paulus and Mason. So I think that's going to be your top 4 and 5 with Gilson still chasing things down. All separated about 30 seconds here, though. So interesting to see how that just a little bit of difference here between the riders that will make that 30 seconds up.
Well, we learned a lot today, that's for sure. And one thing, keeping yourself chilled out in that first, like making the selection, but not overcooking it, is the name of the game, unless you're a rider with the abilities of Christy Tracy. And again, that racing style isn't for everybody because you got to be able to back it up. One good thing for us was that we're aware of Christy Tracy coming into this race, Nathan. We knew that she had the ability to pull something like that off. Again, you never know how the race is going to play out. That's why it's a Machiavellian chess match that we get to enjoy. But ultimately, the gladiators of the road really showed up today, and that's going to be it for Courtney Nelson. Silver medal today. Congratulations, 2020.
Yeah, and here's Polly Mason making her way to the line. Holding down for third on one of the most difficult courses that we have ever seen out on Zwift racing for the women. And talk about empowerment. This is going to empower some new FTPs, as we were saying earlier. I mean, this is probably one of the hardest efforts a lot of these ladies have done in a long time. We've essentially seen 181 beats per minute, 170, 190 beats per minute here and there from go. Essentially from go. It was, what do you got? Go to the top. So a pretty amazing course. I mean, these courses, this does remind me a lot of mountain biking, to be honest. And this is a rider who's very familiar actually with mountain biking. This is where she actually got started, from what I'm understanding, actually. Shayna Paulus, former cross-country mountain biker, U23 national champion, originally out of California. So I bet you if we had some questions for her, she'd say, yeah, essentially you go up, you come back down. That's what we did in the world of mountain biking. She's real familiar with that type of racing.
Yeah, high school mountain biking, which is huge in NorCal, where it all began. Shayna and her brother Nielsen were a huge part of that. Kate Courtney, the world mountain bike champion, was one of their colleagues and friends. So it's quite a scene that they have. Good job out there, Shayna. Another solid ride. Then we'll pick up Gilson. I'm going to say this one stands out to me as well. It's a rider that I'll be looking for in the future, especially on the tough days of racing.
Yeah,
Harriet Gilson here out of United Kingdom. Sorry there, Nathan.
That's all right. Takashita then coming on through. It looks like it's going to be 4. 6th place, just behind Sarks, the pros class. Solid results out here, taking down 1st as well as 3rd place on the day. So Takashita then it's going to be 6th. So 1st, 3rd. That's not a bad result there. But 2020 then as well, able to pull off a couple of results there with Nelson and Paulus. So we said early on it was a 3v3 and there was 2v2 then coming over the top of the second climb. And it ends up being 2020 in the middle of this Stars to Pros Closet battle that ended up playing out.
Yeah, top. When you look at the podium, 2 riders from Stars to Pros Closet making it onto the blocks here. And Takashita, this is 3 in the top 5, correct?
Yeah.
Not a bad day at the office.
Top six there, top 6. Takashita can be coming through for 6th place because Gilson sliding in between the rest of them there. But it's going to be Wagner then coming on through and Wonder Women trying to chase them down. That's going to be a top 7. We'll go throughout the top 10 as we wait for the results to come on in. We may be able to get an interview here in a moment here with Christy Tracy, ask him about a couple of the tactics that'll be playing out. We'll see if we can bring Tracy on in. And it looks like Timewell, though, 8th place. And then Hayden on the chase as well. That's that group we thought that was going to be sticking together. Not happening, but there is a battle for 10th here still. This is the group we talked about earlier with Draft and Fearless. They have not broken apart, actually. And it's been steady here between them all. So very evenly matched ladies here for this 14th plus place.
Boy, can you imagine having to sprint at the end of this day? No rest for the weary out here.
This is I've done a sprint at the top of this course, and it's not pretty.
Now that's where
it's the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah, you just collapse off of your.
It's not a sprint. It's essentially just attrition. It's a race of complete attrition and surviving. You essentially have like your zone 4 left in your legs, zone 5 maybe with a little bit of a kick on it.
And that's where riders are pretty close to getting tunnel vision and blacking out, I would think, where your body is shutting down, it should stop sending any more blood to your brain, right? You're going to a complete, and that's what makes athletics such a special thing. Digging deep like that. So few people do that in this world anymore. And it's a huge part of what makes life special. So here we go. Taking a look at more riders, bringing it on home. This team, Wonder Women, you're going to be hearing a lot more from them. They had a top 3 ride at the WTRL Team Time Trial last week.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing ride. I actually do have Christy Tracy here, it looks like, jumping in. Just going to do a quick little audio check here. I do see the fan is absolutely screaming over there. Let's see if we can bring that down just a tad. And Christy, I can see you.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, great.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, Christy Tracy. Let's go ahead and have a quick little chat with Christy Tracy and talk about what ended up going on there. Dave, I mean, that was pretty amazing battle. Christy, it sounds like things went well, it didn't go to plan, but it went to your plan.
I guess we had planned, it was me, Kai, and Polly in the race, and sorry, I've got race cough. We had planned on for me to push the pace a little on the first climb to string it out and shred the field a little bit, but we were thinking that a group of 10 would probably come together and we would work together and then push the pace and shred it a little more on the second climb. But I pushed the pace and I ended up off the front. And so at that point, Kai just said go. And so I went, and I honestly thought they were going to catch me on the first descent. But I'm the kind of person that just, when I go all in, and I don't give up until it's clear that it's not going to happen. And so I just kind of went all in.
Well, Dave Toll here, Christy. Your hype man, Jamie, let us know that you've a pretty amazing capacity, 500-mile time trials. Do you channel into that endurance rider? Because Zwift is not anything close to an endurance ride out here, such an intense effort. Talk to me about that, the mindset for that today.
Honestly, this was more my comfort zone than typical Zwift racing. I'm very comfortable in the pain cave at a steady high output. I have a special dark place that I just go to in my head, and I'm happy there. So that's where I'm comfortable, and I know how to settle in there. Whereas with typical Zwift racing, it's a lot of up and down and up and down. And I'm not as good at the tactics and at the surginess and at reading a race. And I'm getting much better. Zwift has been great for me for all of that. But today's race, honestly, was much more to my comfort level than a normal Zwift race would be, because it's just go. You don't have to think. You just go. You just go. So
it's an interesting question. So Christy, would it be possible to say that there's no such thing as a course that's too hard for you?
Oh, there is, for sure. I'm not as good at super punchy courses, because super punchy courses tend to be a lot more tactical in their race style. And I've loved Zwift for that reason, because Sarah's the Pros Closet team has been wonderful. I've gotten a lot more practice at team racing, but it's still super tactical punchy courses are still not my strength, because you're up, down, up, down, up, down. And I don't do that as well as I just up. Just go. And that's why, like Laura Matson-Coe and I she's really good at timing that sprint, and that's something I still struggle with. So just like, that's part of the tactics, that Zwift has been really good for me for learning and growing or developing the areas that I'm not as good at. But this today that's just what I do in my normal racing and the ultra racing. I don't go that hard, but just settling in and just setting a steady tempo. So,
not that you seem like someone who needs motivation, and we're talking with our winner here today, Christy Tracy. Christy, the team element of this whole thing, was that something that surprised you, that it would come on to be such a big part of all of this?
Yeah, I love it. So when I very first started Zwift racing, I didn't understand that the team thing was such a big part of it. And so I was really struggling, and I was watching these teams, and I was really jealous. And so I actually reached out to Jen, who runs Sarah's the Pros Closet, and she invited me to start the team to join the team when it was very first starting out. It's been amazing. The amount of teamwork that goes into Zwift racing is insane. It's, for me, more so than even in real life on the road. Because, what, baby?
And Kai
Oh yeah, and Kai too. It's been great for Kai and I, because Kai and I race together on Counter Racer in real world. So I think it's going to really benefit us racing together in the virtual world too, because we're new teammates in real life, but this is allowing us to develop that team, the ESP that you have with your teammates, in the virtual world. And then we're gonna have some fun next year in the gravel world. So.
Talk about a whole new level of ESP. You're not even seeing the other riders at all. And now you're like so I mean, you're testing the realities there of ESP through Zwift racing. Loving
the Discord. I mean, the Discord is amazing. The amount of communication that you can have, it's even more so than real life, because you can talk, you can communicate, and you don't have to come up with all these hand signals. And one of my teammates before in real life racing, our code word was cookies. When one of us was going to attack, we would say cookies. And so we would just randomly in the middle of the race yell out cookies. Yeah, but you don't have to do that because you have Discord. So
you're getting everybody excited about cookies now. That's a great code word. Cookies. Everybody gets excited, and then suddenly the legs start turning. Earning the cookies. Christy Tracy earning the cookies. That's going to be it from here on out. Thanks a lot, Christy. I really appreciate you jumping in with us. Great job out there today. It's our race winner. Yeah, no worries, Christy. We'll see you guys obviously soon. And that's Sarah's Pros Closet, Christy Tracy. Appreciate the post-race interview with her. Let's go ahead and take a quick look here at the results then. We are out on Innsbruck here. And again, our fans were being super fans and super loud there as they were excited. But Christy Tracy with a huge gap there, 4 minutes, 1:12:29. What an effort there, Dave, as I'll let you take it away with the rest of the results.
Yeah, a long day out on course. Courtney Nelson impressed a lot of folks today with her ride, finishing with the silver medal. Polly Mason chased hard to end up on the podium with the bronze in third, and then it's Shayna Paulus. Harriet Gilson rounds out our top five. Takashita into sixth. Dana Wagner in seventh. Yvonne Timewell in eighth. Alexandra Hayden in ninth. And then Lucy Collins, the American, rounding out our top 10. So that was a monster day of racing. As you can see, our winner's time over 1 hour and 12 minutes, Nathan. Some riders out there for more than an hour 20. So to all of the riders who took on the challenge today, I salute you. Takes a lot of courage to do this.
That was, they told me it was going to be a tough race, and Martin was messaging me last. They really made it a tough race, Nathan. They wanted a very big challenge for the finale of Series 2. Stay tuned, everybody. We're going to have more of this on the way. If you enjoyed that racing, WTRL's got a lot planned. I don't know if you've seen some of the announcements recently. Make sure to go follow their page. We are actually live on their page as well, cross-posting from Zwift Community Live. If you haven't checked out our page and you've only seen us for the first time just now, make sure to hit that follow, subscribe, notifications, do all those things so that you get this content every single time that we do go live. We're here every single week highlighting a lot of the racing as well as those in the community and what they're up to, as well as some charity stuff. Me and Dave told Zwift Community Live. That's going to be it for us here today. If you want to check out all the results, head on over to zwiftpower.com, and we will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we have the USA Cycling Series. And what are we doing tomorrow for USA Cycling? We are actually in France. We're in France. We're going up Le Rennais.
What?
Yeah, we're in France tomorrow for USA Cycling. We're taking that on. It's going to be a lot of climbing. We're going 2/3 of the way. Well, I'm not going, but you guys are going 2/3 of the way up the Ventoux. And I might actually do it in the evening. I think I'm going to do it in the evening because I got the kiddos. So we got to do a dad inside ride and trainer rather than Project Echelon ride. So tomorrow you can do 3 different times, morning, afternoon, and evening, USA Cycling Series on France. So see you there for the broadcast tomorrow. As always, everybody.
Au revoir.
Right on.
Thank you.